to Cinemavino. It's good to have you guys here with us. We got Taylor Owens back here.
Hello.
That's awesome. We upgraded from Travis significantly.
You guys needed it.
We have improved
that
that spot.
It's like a video game where you have to do a certain thing so many amount of times and then you upgrade.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we have upgraded significantly. So there's that.
Power up.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yeah. We got Sean Jordan. Hey. Todd Wofford. And T.O.
Yo.
Got Hardwood.
Yeah.
In the house.
Feeling it.
So, and we're going to do this will be part 3 or 4. We're out of order, so I don't even know where the hell we are.
Let's see, 2004, 94, 84, 74.
This is part 4. So, yeah, we're doing Blazing Saddles. It came out 50 years ago. Amazingly.
Wow.
And we are drinking Anciano number 10. This is a Spanish Rioja. A little bit of background on this. So Rioja is a wine region, and that's actually confusing. It's actually a geographic. It's a state in Spain, and it's a wine region, and they're not the same. They overlap a little bit, but the wine region spills out into some other territories around it, like Basque and Navarre. But so they're a little bit different. Rioja is the wine region when you see it on a wine bottle. It's 100% tempered Neo. This is a 2015. So this wine is 9 years old. Spanish reds, a lot of them, like these Tempernails, are going to be really tannic when they come out, so they can age for a while. Even some of the more affordable ones, like $15 or $20. So this one is holding up, I think, pretty well. It's mellowed out a lot. Suppose that's a hallmark of like how it should be tasting right now. It should be tasting pretty soft and mellow. So probably
it is soft.
It is.
And nice though.
Yeah.
Still juicy.
I was going to say it has a little bit of heat.
Yeah. That we're probably getting close. I mean, it's not quite that brick brown color that the wine that's a little bit too old is. We're probably like 2 or 3 years away from the end of the road for this particular wine. But if you're looking for a wine that you could put away, get you like a young Spanish Tempranillo, you could put it away for a while as a general rule and age it, and they'll hold up for 10 years easily. And to age it, you don't have to spend as much as you do for American wines. These are $15 or so. So more affordable, and you can still cellar it. For this, again, this is another one they say goes well with lamb, and those kind of like, again, I don't eat lamb, but that type of meal. So if you're looking for a pairing, it would go well with that.
Yep.
I think it'd go well with a steak. I think it'd go well with a good
meats. Yeah.
Mushroomy steak.
All the good meats.
Yeah.
You know?
This has got to be the only place in the world where we're pairing a Spanish Tempranillo with Blazing Saddles. So
hey, it fits.
This has got to be the only thing. We got to be unique in the world on that.
So why did you pair this with Blazing Saddle?
I just picked 3 wines when I was shopping around that I thought would age well and had some potential to sit back for a while, because we're looking at movies that have aged.
Yeah.
Okay.
So fits the theme more than the specific movie. So yeah. So a little bit of background about the movie. We'll go quickly on this because that way we can get into talking about it.
And just for the record, I did watch this with commentary because I had the Blu-rays, and I made that mistake with Young Frankenstein. A lot of good facts in there.
Interesting.
It's pretty much just like half the movie of Mel Brooks just directly just talking, and he kind of just rambles for like half the movie, and then it just stops.
It's great.
He talks about all the pre-production, production, post-production.
Yeah.
Some good nuggets.
Nice.
He also says the N-word like a dozen times.
A little problematic, but that's okay.
It was a different time.
Yeah.
Those were the times.
I'm just saying, those were the times.
And we'll circle back to that issue in a second.
Sure.
In a little bit. So this is another iconic movie. Pretty much everything we are covering in this series, Napoleon Dynamite's debatable, but all the other ones are...
It's an icon.
Yeah. I'd say that one's the only one that for me would be like, maybe. But Pulp Fiction, Ghostbusters, Blazing Saddles, Strangelove are all iconic movies of their time. Napoleon Dynamite probably is too. So this is from the 70s. This grossed $120 million worldwide against a $2.5 million budget. Directed by comedy legend Mel Brooks, who pioneered comedy on television before becoming a major film comedy director. Co-writes with a platoon of screenwriters, including comedian Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor was slated to star as Sheriff Bart, but the insurance company for the studio would not insure him due to his struggles with addiction. So there's that. The film sends up Monument Valley Westerns, mainly starring John Wayne. John Wayne was approached for a role in the movie, and he supposedly said, "Hell no, I can't be in that, but I'll be first in line to see it."
No, he read the script and he said he loved it. He was like, I was cracking up the whole time. I absolutely cannot do this movie.
Yeah. So there you go.
Mel's just like, John, why? Like, this isn't me.
Yeah, but it was him.
Yeah.
Ironically. Story takes place in the fictitious desert town of Rock Ridge, and as in so many westerns, hundreds of westerns, the railroad's coming through town. For better or worse, the railroad, it's always a metaphor for progress.
You know, I'm tired of big railroad getting the wrong reputation in these westerns.
Yeah.
You know, we need more railroad representation.
Exactly.
We do. I mean, what's the first thing you buy up in Monopoly? You want to get your
Want the
railroad.
railroads.
Yeah.
The utilities.
Utilities, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. You gotta want that thimble.
I'm more of a top hat guy.
So yeah, crooked politician Hedley Lamar, whose name was a play on movie actress Hedy Lamarr,
It's Hedley.
she was apparently not amused to be.
She sued them.
Yeah.
Took them to court. They settled out of court.
Yeah. Crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Even though that's probably has to be a boost. I mean, it's like, I'm not sure where she was in the 70s, but her career had probably stalled out in the 30 or 40 years since she was famous. So this movie's doing her a favor by.
It really put Hedy Lamarr on the map.
I mean, that's how I found out about her, was via this movie. So
That was 50 years ago.
exactly. So he plots to scheme the local rednecks, townspeople out of their land. To help enrage the population so chaos, Lamar installs a black sheriff played by Cleavon Little. Sheriff Bart runs afoul of the local population, and Lamar's plan to destroy the town and sees everything seems to be rolling along until Bart makes unlikely allies, beginning with the Waco Kid played by Gene Wilder.
Who also wasn't the original person who was supposed to play that.
I don't remember who was supposed to be.
I don't remember who he said it was, but he said they started shooting, and the scene where he was hanging upside down, he just like could not stop shaking.
I think it was a guy named Gig Young, who was an actor who was previously big at that time, like Oscar winner, but was a huge alcoholic. Now that I put it all together.
Well, and so he said that like he called up Gene Wilder like day of, and he was like, "Hey man, I really need you to come out to the shoot. We've already started." And he's like, "Yeah, I can be there tomorrow. I can be there like on a plane tonight. I'll be there tomorrow." He flew from New York to LA.
Yeah.
And when he showed up, he had the first 4 pages of Young Frankenstein.
Nice.
And that's how they started that project rolling.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, Gig Young, who later died of alcoholism. That makes sense. Probably a little on the nose for him to be playing that part of a drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah. A little too real.
Yeah. Well,
But so they also gains an ally in burlesque singer Lily von Stupp, played by Madeline Kahn. Stupp is German slang for sex, by the way, or
is it German or is it Yiddish?
I believe it's German.
Oh.
Yeah. And so they win over the town people, and they gradually build up allies, including Mongo, played by football player Alex Karras, who, despite everything else he did in his life, sealed the first line of his obituary when he punched out a horse in this movie.
Which apparently all of the Mongo lines were Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor wrote Mongo start to finish.
I mean, I always think of like Mongo only pawn in Game of Life. It's just beautiful. So the townspeople put aside their differences, work with Sheriff Bart, and slowly began to take on Hedley Lamar.
Hedley.
And they end up, their battle spills out onto the Warner Brothers backlot. So, which is just,
yeah.
Watching this movie, we finished it today. It gets sillier and sillier. They turn up the heat as it moves along. It gets more and more stupid to the point to where you just have to embrace it. It's like a river of stupidness, and you just have to go along with it.
They just do a straight up Bugs Bunny act at one point.
Yeah.
Telegram for Mongo. Telegram for Mongo.
Which is Warner Brothers, so they didn't have to pay for
They didn't have to pay for it.
Yeah.
And I just made up a new word of stupidness, by the way. I don't think that's a word. It's stupid.
Stupidness?
I assume stupidity is a word. I don't know about stupid.
I like stupidness.
I like stupid.
Yeah.
We're going to run with that. So this, to me, is one part raunch comedy, one part satire, one part spoof, and just plain gibberish. So that's what I got from my notes. I'm curious to see what you got. You guys have both seen it before.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it quite a few times. This was a movie that my mom expressly forbid me to watch it when I was about 10. So when they went out to do something, that's the first movie I found on the videos and put it in and watched it.
This was your rebellion movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and the campfire scene, like where they're farting and beating beans. I laughed till I could not breathe.
What I couldn't believe, and this was my main takeaway from the commentary, was that was the most controversial scene that he wrote. Like, he was talking about how much pushback he got from Warner Brothers producers, and he was saying that, like, Warner Brothers really didn't want him to do that. They were like, hey, you need to cut the farts out. Like, the farts got to go. Like, they pushed back on a lot of stuff, like, a lot of use of the N-word, but the farts kept coming up.
Yeah.
And he said that if he didn't have final cut, like, Warner Brothers was ready to just straight up shelf this, just eat the cost, not even put it out.
Yeah.
And they did like a early screening, and it killed.
Yeah.
And the Warner Brothers producer came up to him and was just like, hey, listen, all right, this worked well, but cut out the farts, cut out the N-word, cut out this, cut out that, and we'll produce it for you. And he said, okay, great.
Yeah.
Knowing in his back pocket that he had final cut, he didn't cut any of that stuff.
Yeah.
And put it out as is.
Yeah.
So
That's
amazing.
great.
Final cut is absolute power for a director. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And I think that's got to be something that was after the Orson Welles thing. Orson Welles had final cut on Citizen Kane and then never really got it back again. So I think other directors, once they got enough clout, saw that and said, no, I want to be able to control my movie
Yeah.
all the way.
And I don't know how he had this much clout, because this was like his third movie. He did The Producers, which didn't work that well.
Yeah.
He did 12 Chairs, which was fine. But this was like his third actual movie.
Yeah. He probably had a lot of clout from TV and working.
Yeah.
in
Just comedian, yeah.
So he's probably well connected in that sense. Not like probably financially successful, but he probably had enough connections in the industry that he'd be fine.
He also said this was the first movie he ever did that he didn't write himself, because he was always someone who wrote all his own movies. And they brought him the script to punch up, and he was like, oh, I don't do other people's movies.
Yeah. But yeah, it works so well.
It does.
And it still feels very much like a Mel Brooks movie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This is the Mel Brooks movie.
See, I didn't know that. I thought it was a collaboration of him and,
Well, and they brought on Richard Pryor because they wanted to do the black cop angle.
Yeah.
And so I guess originally the title of this was Tex X, like
Yeah.
Malcolm X, but like that's the name of the sheriff.
Yeah. Yeah. So what are your thoughts? What would you rank it?
This is a 10, easy. I mean, it's historic, but it's so good. I mean, bits, top to bottom, all the humor's great. This is a Mel Brooks movie, start to finish, and this put Mel Brooks on the map in my book.
Yeah.
The hangman in that scene, they use like a medieval hangman.
That's
Is that
awesome.
the same hangman they use for Robin Hood?
I
Men in
believe
Tights?
so. Very similar,
Yeah.
if not. Yeah.
It has to be the same guy, right?
Probably.
I was watching that gag and I was like,
until next Thursday. I'm booked solid.
It has to be. I didn't even think about that.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Like, because those movies are like 25, 30 years apart, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 90.
Maybe he
Really?
aged well.
Because it was like 94, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
I mean, if you think about it this way, Cloris Leachman was still middle-aged 25 years later.
Yeah.
Still doing movies. So
Oh my God, there was one other thing that was on the Blu-ray extras. I guess they tried doing a pilot for a spin-off sitcom based off of this.
Saddles.
Yeah, based off of Blazing Saddles. And they had like a German prostitute singer who had an eye patch, who had the speech impediment. And then they had the black sheriff. And it was like, you could watch the pilot. I started watching and I was like, okay, this is bad.
Yeah.
And I just stopped. But
Man,
there was almost a spin-off sitcom based off of it.
I like the sound of it.
Yeah.
I didn't watch that.
So one of the things that I have for this movie and for several of these movies that we're going to cover is basically that you could ask 5 different people to name their favorite scene in these movies. You're going to get 5. You could get 5 different answers.
Oh, yeah.
And they're all valid. What would you say is your favorite scene in this movie if you have to pick one?
I already know mine. So unlike you, Todd, I did not have proper parents, and my dad let me watch this movie. And so it was the first time I saw it, and I was like, honestly, I can't remember how young I was, but I didn't understand half of it. And now when I go back and watch it, I'm like, why did my father
I allowed to watch
let
this?
me watch this? And I think it was like, he wanted to watch it, and he was like, well, he's in the room, whatever, I'm just going to watch it.
Yeah.
But the fart scene.
Yeah.
I mean, like that to me, because I can't remember how young I was, but that was like the funniest damn thing to me.
And what grabbed me not watching it this time is something I can't believe I've never thought of it is when Slim Pickens walks out of the tent and is like smelling it. It's like they're outdoors.
Yeah.
They're in the open. How bad did that smell where you could walk out 20 feet away and smell it outdoors?
Yeah.
You boys need to stop eating so many beans.
That's bad.
I think one of my favorite scenes is when they're like getting all of the bad guys together and everyone's like signing up and doing all the registration. there's like a cart of Nazis, right? And they're all doing the Nazi salute. And at one point, they're doing the oath, and he says, "Raise your right hand," and all the Nazis are like this, and then all of a sudden they go like this. It's just,
It's so stupid.
it's so stupid,
Yeah.
but it's just such a good visual bit. It's great.
And that scene is, our buddy Travis references that scene a lot because I'm holding up the camera, a birthmark right here on my elbow. And this is where the two, Gene Wilder and Cleavon Little, go up to the front of the line, and Sheriff Bart starts to sign in with reveals his black hand out of his KKK robes, and Gene Wilder starts scrubbing his hand, like, see, it's coming off. The amount of times that Travis has tried to scrub off my birthmark, and with that line,
See, it's coming off.
I've got to go, and again, there's no wrong answer, but I'm going to go with where those idiot cowboys come up in the middle of the desert to a toll booth.
We gotta go back. We gotta get a shitload of dimes.
It's just so stupid.
Well, and isn't that another one of our good friend Travis's?
Yeah.
We've got to get a shitload of dimes.
Working at the store, every time we needed dimes in the register, that was, even if there were customers everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
They would hear that we had to go back and get a shitload of dimes.
There were a few lines when I was watching this, and I was just like, Travis quotes this movie a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Like a lot.
He does. This is one of Travis's touchstones. It's a shame he's not here.
Because it was always curious how somebody falls upon this movie. Because how did you just fall upon it when you first saw it?
I fell upon. I think I started watching Mel Brooks movies when I was just like a kid at a friend's house, or like, Robin Hood Men in Tights would be on Comedy Central or something. And I started kind of expanding my scope that way. I know Young Frankenstein was like in big rotation. Yeah. Because that's a little bit more, kid friendly-ish.
Yes.
I don't remember the first time I saw Blazing Saddles. it was one of those movies that was just always there.
Yeah.
So it had to have been at some point my parents let down their guard or gave up. And they listen to the podcast, so I'm sure they'll correct me on this.
Yeah. It's
we
funny.
never let you watch that movie.
And it's like, it's funny because by the time I was probably 18, I had it memorized.
Yeah.
I had all the jokes. Even though, like, one thing that strikes me about this movie, and, Pulp Fiction to a certain degree, and there's other ones, but how, as a kid, some of the jokes that sailed by that I get.
Oh, I know. Those, yeah.
Like Madeline Kahn singing about the cowboys that are always going and coming
and going, and always too soon.
It's like, I didn't get that as a kid. Now I get that.
Mel Brooks apparently wrote that entire song.
Yeah.
Like that entire song was all.
I can see that. Yeah.
But also, it's like the visual gag of Madeline Kahn with Sheriff Bart in the dark of, are you people gifted? And then it's like, it's true.
It's true.
And then
it's true.
And I remember that as a kid, at that scene being like, what's going on? Because because the screen just goes dark.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, what's going on?
What are they doing?
Yeah.
And then you cut to the next scene, like the giant
sausage.
Yeah.
Would you like another? Oh, I don't think I could have another.
Yeah.
Stop.
And I love how Cleon Little like to leave, and she's like begging him not to leave. It's like, a Vita Zane, baby. That's a bucket list thing to be able to say that to somebody as I'm leaving. I mean, in any context.
Oh, yeah.
Just as I'm walking out, it's like, a Vita Zane, baby. If I can do that, I can die happy.
Yeah.
So you're a 10.
10.
This is a solid 10.
It's a 10.
Yeah.
And it was like, and for me, I think it was Young Frankenstein. I saw that first, and I think I might have said to my dad, like, oh, this is a good movie. Yeah. And he was like, oh, there's other Mel Brooks films. And it was like, and for some reason, because I remember it was on VHS.
Yeah.
I remember him putting it in. So it's like either we had it or he had rented it or whatever. And I watched it and I didn't have any idea. But after just rewatching it over and over again, I mean, it's just... And maybe because it is Mel Brooks.
I do want to say my parents had it on VHS.
Yeah, I knew it was VHS.
So did mine. It's funny. It's so inappropriate, so raunchy, and yet they owned it.
And they bought it, yeah. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, wow.
It's like dangling that in front of me.
Yeah.
And it's like, I see that more and more as a parent of like, if you want to guarantee your kids do something, forbid it.
Yeah.
That's just the best way to guarantee they're going to do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
keep that in mind. You're raising kids.
That's what I'm saying. It's like I've learned that lesson.
So you got to let them watch Blazing Saddles. It's like you can't hide it. Yeah.
So your dad just one day just like popped it in.
Yeah, because I think I was talking about Young Frankenstein. I think I had seen it or something like that, and I don't know. And he was like, "Oh yeah, there's another Mel Brooks," and he like put it in and watched it, and I was like, and yeah, you kind of understood some of what was going on, but I remember even being like, "This is weird."
Yeah.
But of course, the fart scene, it just sent me into a whirlwind, and it was like, because I can't remember how young I was, but I do remember years later rewatching that film. I think maybe even after I watched like Robin Hood Men in Tights and thinking like, damn, this film is absolutely phenomenal, but I should have never have watched this film as a kid. I just no way.
Inappropriate.
But, it's kind of because I've after watching it many times since, like it really was. I mean, it really is just a great film. I mean, and I know it gets zany, but like comparing it even to like Robin Hood Men in Tights, like the very beginning of that one, it's like they're on basically a lot.
Yeah,
it's like when it catches fire, it's like, oh, but it's the Paramount or whatever. I think if he says Paramount lot or something, he's like, but it was just like it's just such a great film, and to think it came out in 74, also just like blows my mind.
Yeah,
and that it was able to like just go through that whole entire process, and then like had the final cut. Like they're like, oh, we can't do this.
We talked about this on the Young Frankenstein pod, but I always thought Young Frankenstein was an older movie because it looked so much older. It came out immediately after Blazing Saddles.
Yeah.
And they just filmed it to make it, they did black and white intentionally. Yeah. But I think Mel Brooks' like entire catalog of movies just speaks to how much he loves movies, because he does such a good job parodying them, right? Yeah. Like this is such a parody of just every John Wayne movie.
Yes. And they do such a good job, like with Young Frankenstein. They have that big over-the-top melodramatic theme song with the whip cracks and the font, like the original like old school Western font, and the credits that look like a 50s Western. I mean, he go like Young Frankenstein, he goes out of his way to make it look like that.
Yeah.
So just those little details. Yeah. I love it when Sheriff Bart is riding through the desert to first go to the town, and they have Count Basie and his orchestra in the middle of the desert. It's like so random.
He said they were actually playing for that scene.
Yeah. I mean, you can kind of tell that they're actually like, and of course Sheriff Bart stops for a high five. It's like, this is just incredible.
Yeah.
It's like, this is so stupid, but it's so stupid. It's so brilliant.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, Mel Brooks in a nutshell.
I am really glad Mel Brooks got his redemption on the producers, because listening back to the commentary and him talking about how producers just like never got off. He said that, and like 12 Chairs, he was like, no one outside of like New York or LA ever heard of my stuff. Like no one in Texas knew any of those movies.
Yeah.
And he was like, but Blazing Saddles, that one people in Texas knew.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because it's funny everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because Slim Pickens will be in this movie and the next movie we're going to do, Dr. Strangelove. He actually factors into, and he's an iconic presence in Dr. Strangelove. So, and he was originally I want to say he wasn't a rodeo clown, but he was definitely a rodeo guy when he got into movies. And so, and it's all these memorable movies as a result. I mean, he didn't have a long career because he passed away not too long after Blazing Saddles came out, but a memorable person. I mean, you recognize him immediately.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a 10 out of 10 for me too. This is a classic movie from my childhood, much like Ghostbusters. This is a movie I watched a lot and loved it. To me, to briefly touch on the use of the racial language, which we'll talk about this in Pulp Fiction, even though you guys have already heard that episode, which we haven't done yet, but we talk about traveling through time. It's kind of funky, but it's like, to me, it's mocks that racism, bigotry.
Yeah.
That's the joke.
At one point, and like I said, every time he said it a lot in the commentary, but every time he did, there were quotation marks around it, right? Yeah. He was saying it. He was just more comfortable saying it than we would be today. And I think the commentary was probably recorded maybe 30 years ago, and he's an older guy, what have you. But he very specifically was like, the people I have saying it in this movie are the right people to say it, not the wrong people to say it.
Exactly like Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
And this will be an argument that I will make in that of like, with Pulp Fiction, it's like the characters who say it, it makes sense for them in that setting, in that time period. It's like it fits.
Yeah.
And who better to argue about when the best time to say it is than three white people?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We're on solid ground there.
Yeah. Yeah,
But-
we feel comfortable telling you when you can say it and you can't.
But it's like, to me, that was always the joke in Blazing Saddles was like, the white townspeople are the stupid people.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Salt of the earth.
Yeah.
Down to the earth.
The
people.
common clay.
You know.
Morons. I never put together until I was an adult that their last names are Johnson because they're inbred.
Yeah.
It took me like until I was a grown up to.
Well, because when you see the city council and it's just like all people named Johnson.
Yeah. As a kid, it's like, that's funny. They're all named Johnson. But now it's like, no, it's because they're all inbred. And it's like, Sheriff Bart is the smartest character in the movie and the most capable. So it's like, it's a flip on the Western cliches. I love it that they spoof brownface. Again, it's like the Tropic Thunder thing with Mel Brooks playing the native chief.
The native chief.
And just, again, that's a slew of like Yiddish and gibberish. And so it's like he's making fun of how at John Wayne movies, there was rarely native actors playing native characters. It was always white people in heavy makeup.
Or Italians.
A lot
of Italians playing native characters.
Yeah. And so it's like, it's making fun of that stuff. As long as you can embrace that, it's making the joke about them and not making a joke about black people or, that. It's the other way around. As long as you're okay with that, it's that you can unlock the humor of this movie.
Mel Brooks is a master of satire. Mm-hmm. And if you do satire right, it's going to make some people angry.
It's supposed to.
Yeah. That's kind of the point.
I want to say it was Lenny Bruce originally who said something to that effect of like, sometimes there are moments that are so out there and outrageous that the only human response is to laugh. It's like that are shocking or whatever. It's like our good friend Travis has pioneered many of those moments where it's in with us of like, all we can do is laugh because it's so over the top.
Yeah.
So his posts about Jonathan Taylor Thomas on Facebook are an example of
Exactly.
Or Jared from Subway.
Yeah. He has posted some shocking things and all you can do is laugh because it's just Travis. And so that's how I am with this,
I agree. Yeah.
But yeah, this has been another episode of Cinemavino. Anciano number 10, Tipper Neo, Rio. We've got Sean Jordan.
Hey.
We've got Taylor Owens.
Yo.
And I'm Todd Wofford. And great movies, Only Drunker. Tune in next time for Dr. Strangelove. That'll be another great movie to go back and rewatch.
Yeah.
So we will see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.